Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Connie Douglas from Great Stamping with Connie. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Canada. It is Thursday evening, and this is Connie's Craft Along. So welcome, and thank you so much for joining me on the eve of Easter weekend, shall we say. Tomorrow being Good Friday, and then into the whole Easter weekend. And hopefully you're going to be able to spend some time with family. Maybe maybe if the weather's nice, we can get outside and go for a walk. I know depending where you live, you might have some spring bulbs that are starting to bloom, and we don't have anything really blooming here yet, but we do have some poking out of the ground. So all sure signs of spring. There's been robins around for a little while, so that's always makes us hopeful. And the birds are going crazy at our bird feeders. I think they're all starving after their big flight back this way. So anyway, spring is coming for sure. I think we've hung up the skis, which is a little sad in some ways, but that's okay. I'll get over it because it means spring is coming and summer is right behind that. So it's all good. Anyway, if you are here joining me this evening, say hello. Let me know that you are on. And I don't know whether you're going to craft with me or not. I have a technique to share this evening. It's not a difficult technique, and it's one that if you've done classes and things with me, you may have done it with me, and maybe you've done it on your own. I don't know. I didn't invent it. It's not brand new, but it's a little bit of a fun one. And so I don't know, for some reason I just thought, oh, today's the day. Let's do it. So here we are. I'll pull this in a little bit. I have not made a card yet with this, but I did make a couple of pieces that could be cards. So anyway, let's just flip this down and we can get started. Hello, Donna. Welcome. Happy Easter weekend. So this is, I'm sure this has a name, this technique. Stampin' block, a block technique. I'm going to use a clear block. That was one of the things that I suggested you needed to gather. It was a little bit of a different list tonight, wasn't it? So that was partly because we have to make what we're using. Just watching, that's okay. I'm glad to have you along to visit and to watch. So I have a standard card base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And that is going to coordinate with the ink that I'm going to use here. Oh, I suggested you cut 4 pieces of paper, and I forgot to do that. But anyway, I have Daffodil Delight, I have Mint Macaron, and I have Highland Heather. So they are all sort of pastel colors. They're sort of Easter colors, spring colors. They're just light and bright and pretty. So that's what we're going to use. I suggested you may want some Memento Black ink and a sort of line image stamp. So this is from the Dragonfly Garden, and that's what I will be using. This is actually retiring soon. It is on the last chance list, which means it is only available while supplies last. So if that's one of your faves and you don't have it in your stash, now is the time to get it. And then I suggested a piece of Whisper White cut into quarters, which would make them 5.5 by 4 1/4. So this is one piece, and this one is a little bit larger than that, but we'll just go with it. I wonder if it kind of tight, but I might be able to do 2 that way. I don't know that I need to do 2. But I kind of got going. This is one of those things where you get going and it's like, oh, that's fun. Oh, let me use these colors. Let me do this. Let me do that. And so 4 pieces is not usually too many. A strip of cardstock or a shape. What else do I have? Shapes. Something that you can put a sentiment on when we get to that part. What else do I have sitting around here? A few things on my table here. There's a shape, there's a box, there's a wishing you all the wishes, but it might go okay. This is garden green ink. It's not mint macaron, but we'll keep them close by just in case. And we'll figure out what we're going to do for sentiment a little bit later when we get that far. And then you also need a spritzer. This is the Stampin' Spritzer. You can use anything really, but this is the one that Stampin' Up has, and it's just a very fine mist that comes out of the schnozola there. So I've just put water in here. It's very full. I'm sure it's got water in. That was the, yes, it does. It has water in it. And now my pants are wet. All right, so what we are going to do, I'm just going to move these things out of the way a little bit since we don't need them just yet. And they will just get in the way. Okay, put this here for now. So we are going to make a background with ink and water, spritzer. So we're going to put ink onto our acrylic block, and then we're going to spritz it with some water, and then we're going to put it onto our paper. And depending how you do it, they're all different. So if you just give it a very light spritz, you will get this sort of a look. So you can still see areas where I didn't have ink on my block, and the colors are still sort of intense. Like that's where the ink hit the block, and because it's on acrylic, it's not a solid bit of ink. Generally, it's a little bit splotchy because that's how it sticks to these blocks. If you put more water on, you get this kind of a look. So two different looks, depending how your tastes run. I'll show you how much water I'm going to put on. I'm going to do it more like this. I prefer this kind of look where things are really flowing together. But I don't dislike this, so I will still use this for something. But this is what I'm going to do for this one. So, starting with your block, and if you happen to have, and I thought I got one out, and now I don't see it, that's only blue. If you happen to have any Stampin' Spots, the little ones like this, they are wonderful for this technique because they allow you to get into small places on your block to fill in the ink. But I forgot to pull them out. So we're going to just go with what we've got here. So when you are doing this, I would suggest that you start with your lightest color, because if you happen to, you can see here, I got a little bit of, I don't know, either Highland Heather or Balmy Blue that I was using on those others, onto my yellow ink as I was trying to, stamp on my block. So just something to think of. You can use daubers, sponge daubers, to get the ink on as well. But that will give you a little different look because the daubers will put the ink on the block differently. Again, nothing's right or wrong. It's just different. And this was sort of what I wanted to go for. So I'm just kind of adding some ink to this block, just pressing. I'm not sure. You can see that it's yellowed in areas. Probably can't. Oh, there you can almost see where I've got yellow ink, can't you? Okay, and then I'm going to come in with my mint macaron and just kind of add some of this into some places. If I can get something into there. Over here. And you want to try and see where you've got, where you have ink and where you don't have ink. It's a little tricky sometimes. And then my Highland Heather, and I'm going to try to fill in the gaps. It's a little bit tricky as well, trying to figure out where you've been. You tilt it depending on your light, usually see the gaps in the light. Step down, see what I can see. Oh. Okay, I think I'm going to go with that. Okay, and then you want to use your spritzer. See, I've kind of got ink that's coming through here, but that'll be okay. So I am just going to spritz. So it's my hand fairly high up. You want to have a little bit of distance between you and your block. And if you just did about that much spritzing of water, oh, that's hard to see because it's not all white anymore. So you see there? You would end up with these spots. You see that there's sort of spots. You can kind of see the green there. You would end up with that on your paper, okay? But I want it to blend a little bit more, so I'm just going to give it another spritz, a little more water, okay? And then I'm just going to pull this whole thing down because I don't want to put this on. I don't want it to get wet on the back as well. That's just too much water. And I am just going to put this block down onto my paper, and you can see I didn't have quite as much water up here, but here as you squish, all the colors just sort of blend together. Can you see that sort of transforming? I don't know if you could see that. I could see it at my end. All of a sudden the water just sort of soaks into your cardstock. This is just regular basic white cardstock. You can do this on watercolor paper. And there's all the colors. See, this green got a little bit darker than I would have liked, but that's okay because look, we have more. Before you start your next one, I would suggest that you just take a paper towel and just kind of wipe this off. Get any extra ink or water or anything off of your block so you're starting dry. So I think what I would like for this one really is more purple because purple's kind of the pretty color. So I'm going to start with purple this time because the green ended up being the darkest. But start with this purple just because it seems to end up being the larger color. And then we will add some yellow. And again, every one of these that you do is different, of course, because you've got the ink going down in different places and you have different intensity of the ink. The water will make it move differently each time. So you never know quite what you're going to get until you do it. I wonder if we should do this one in pink. We could do this in pink, couldn't we? Look, I have Blushing Bride right here. Oh, but I have a mint macaron card base. Haha. Wonder if I have a plain white card base sitting here. I usually have some close at hand. And that's just regular white cardstock. I suppose I could run and get a different card base, couldn't I? Because it's not like I've never run to get card bases before. There is a plain white one. Since an using Orchid Oasis, that would be very different. Okay, so let's maybe go with Blushing Bride on this one. Just just because we can, right? Okay, so that's going to be very different because that's just sort of really different lines. What we get. We'll give it a try and we can decide after what we're going to do with what. Okay, so I'm going to put this back onto my paper and grab my spritzer. A little more pink, maybe. There we go. Okay. You just want to see your ink colors starting to get wet enough that they're going to come together. Okay. Pull this out of the way. Oh, hello, Lorna. I'm going to show you the piece that I had mentioned to you in just a moment. So we're doing an acrylic block and ink technique. So I put ink on there, then I spritzed it with water, and now you'll be able to see or not. Cover up this part. Can you see how it's starting to look different? I don't know whether you can see that on camera or not, but that's when the ink is soaking into the paper. So we put ink on the acrylic block, and then we spritzed it with water, and now we have put it onto our card. So there goes. Now the only thing, when you do this, of course, it's a little damp. So this paper is a little bit wet. This one is still a little bit wet. There's the first one that I did. So you do need to let them dry. So I have for your viewing pleasure another project. This is like, the bonus project. Set these out to the side. So all of a sudden well, not all of a sudden, I was always sort of thinking I might host Easter dinner. Wasn't sure who could come. I knew my daughter had plans with her husband's family, but my son and his partner are able to come. And then we invited my brother and sister-in-law yesterday, and they are able to come. So now all of a sudden I have 6 guests. Well, okay, 4 guests plus Steve and I. So 6 people coming for Easter dinner, which is marvelous in my opinion, because I love to host and I love to do things. So of course we need little Easter treat baskets. So I have these. I made these. These are super quick and easy, and I've got some ready shreddy paper to go in there, and then I got some little Ferrero eggs. We went to Costco. Oh, what a day for a store! So we had, whoops, now I'm rolling around on the floor. They had these guys, Ferrero Collection. So they're kind of like a Ferrero Rocher, but they don't have the nuts on the outside. They're just eggs, and they have the filling, and then it's chocolate. It's Easter. It seemed to fit. So I'll put some of these into the little baskets, and we will have Easter treats for our table. So I thought I would just show you how to make these, because, as I say, they are super quick and easy. You can put these together in no time flat. So 6 by 6 piece of designer series paper. You can use cardstock as well. It's your choice. It doesn't really matter whether you use cardstock or designer series paper. So this is designer series paper, and then I'm using brads. You don't have to use brads. You could staple them, you could glue them, but you need a way to hold them together. And you need a piece of 1/2 inch cardstock. So I've used Fresh Freesia cardstock. You can use designer series paper, but it's 8.5 by 1/2 for the handle. Hello, Candy, welcome. We're just doing Easter things. So 6 by 6, a piece of designer series paper scored at 2 inches and 4 inches. Turn it 90 degrees, score it at 2 inches and 4 inches. And then you just fold it on all of the score lines, and you cut 2 of them. You cut up to the first score line, okay, on top and bottom. And then I have pre-poked holes because I'm using brads. I poked holes. So to do that, I just kind of held it in place and decided where I wanted it, and then I used my pokey tool to poke holes in the paper. And this is where the second use is for your Stampin' Pierce mat. That mat that you were asking about the other day, Lorna. This guy. So I've covered it with paper so that when I'm using photopolymer stamps, I can stamp on here. But today, look, can you see those? Yes, see? I used it for my pokey tool to go into so that I didn't damage my desk or my house in any way. Okay, so I'm just going to grab a couple of brads out of here, and there's bigger square ones and there's smaller round ones, and I was using some of the bigger ones because I thought they looked nice, but then I kind of covered them up with the bunny. So, I mean, you can still see it on that side, but anyway, I'm just going to put these little guys on here. So then you just poke through one side and the other side, and then you put your handle on the inside, and then you put your inside flap. So that way you don't see the handle at all. It's all hidden. And then you just open out your brad, flip it the other side, and do the exact same thing. Throw the two holes there. I'll put the handle on. And you can make these, I suppose, in different sizes. Just, make sure it's a square that you can divide into thirds, basically. Or you could probably do it where, the middle is one size and the edges are a different size. I haven't really played with it a whole lot, but this works. And then I just stamp. This is from the Easter Bunny stamp set. Isn't he cute? So I just stamped him on fresh freesia. This oval was cut with the fitting florets dies that have the ovals in it. And these are the, whoops, I don't want these just yet. I want dimensionals. These are the festive pearls that I used for his eyes. So I'm just going to put some dimensionals on here. When you put these on, make sure you don't go up too high because he is, you don't want dimensionals up here. I've left the handle so that it will move and swing, and I've just attached it to the bottom basket portion. But I've got 3 dimensionals on it, so it will stick just fine. And then you just kind of center it. Make sure you don't come below your basket at the bottom. And kind of center it at the top. Give it a squeeze, and then we'll give him some eyes. I couldn't decide. I put these on at first and I thought, oh, they look cute. And then I thought his eyes somehow started to look really far apart when I used these. And I wasn't sure if they were creepy. So I set them aside and then I looked back and I thought, no, they're good. I think they work. So so there he is. Like, how super quick is that? So you can whip some of these up for your Easter table and just have a little Easter basket sitting there for all your decorations. Alrighty, so let's see. How's our paper doing? It's still kind of wet. I don't think we should work with it, but I will go back to this one that I showed you earlier. And one of the things you can do, you can trim these at this point and it can become a card front. And then this is cut from artistic layers, artistic selling. It's some dies that are going to retire soon. But I was thinking, oh, that would look nice in the corner. And when I put it down here, whoops, a little bit that didn't come out. There we go. And put it down here, and the yellow, just to me, all of a sudden it was like the sun gloriously shining through. And I thought, oh, this has to be an Easter card. And the sentiment on here has to be he is risen. And so that's how this card is going to come together. So I haven't finished them off yet, obviously, but that's how I am going to finish it off. So this paper is still kind of wet. I would have to this one's not bad. I was supposed to make sure they were all going to dry, but we can use this one. This is from earlier. If you want to use these now and they're still damp, if you stamp on it, just know that your ink is going to bleed. So if that's not something you want to make sure it's dry. You can use your heat tool, though. But I still have this one, so maybe I will work with this one. Just need to decide which way. We'll give it a try. So I am going to, oh, look, I put those baskets all over my trimmer, and now I need my trimmer. Back there. Okay. So I am just going to trim these edges. on your paper, you want to kind of square it up as you're trimming it. And you can change the size. The other thing that you can do is you could die cut things with this. I thought about die cutting the butterflies. I did use the butterflies the other day. Now these are the ones with the stamps, but here's multicolored butterflies. So this is why I don't clean up my desk, because I end up showing some of these things again. But you could die cut some of the intricate butterflies with this, and then you would have the all the different colors. Or you could stamp on here and then die cut the whole, like if you would stamp this on there. Oh, look, maybe this should be our card, because those colors all kind of coordinate, don't they? So I was thinking that I would stamp this right onto here in black. That is kind of nice, isn't it? See, the best laid plans and things change. Oh, look, it's Felix coming to help craft. Okay, let's do this. And now I didn't bring any layers for this. It's quite a large border. What do you think? Maybe if I put black behind it and then this. I of course don't have any black cardstock right here, so I will have to go grab some. I'll be right back. Grab some card bases too, just in case. So is anybody crafting tonight? It's supposed to be Connie's craft along, but I kind of didn't I didn't give you a whole lot, did I? But so this piece I think is 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. It's just the size of the block. Yeah, it's 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. So that will work. We can leave it that size. And then just cut the black. I think perhaps a narrow black border. I don't really want a lot of black, do we? Just enough to make it sort of pop. So this is more than 3 1/4. It will work. So 4 1/4 plus an 1/8. So that will give us just a narrow border all the way around. And hello, Gail, welcome. We're doing a little bit of on the fly Easter crafting here tonight. playing with water and ink and making art. That looks small. Nope. Trust your ruler. Oh, sorry. That was my trimmer falling off the shelf. Okay. So because this is just a little rounded, I am going to use my liquid glue just so I get I have a new one. Not to worry, we're swapping out for a brand new bottle, and I will have glue everywhere probably, but at least it will come out faster. Okay. Nope. Pop this over this way. Get it up where we want it. Looks like I need just a smidge off of that perhaps, but I can do that in just a moment. Okay. Just a little. There. The beauty of a guillotine cutter is that you can do that. If you do that with the trimmer, not always, sometimes it works quite well, but it can just sort of shred the edge of your cardstock. So if you're doing something like that, a guillotine is generally the better way to go. So, alrighty, and then if we put this on here, and then okay, I think we'll do it. Let's do it. And then we need a sentiment. Suppose we could make this a birthday card. This could be a sympathy card too. Well, like, okay, in reality, it could be any kind of card, right? I'll see what I have handy on my desk here. Heartfelt sympathy. Look, I have them both. I know I do. I have birthday wishes. So I've got heartfelt sympathy, birthday wishes. Pretty sure I have happy birthday. I have birthday and thank you for everything. And thinking, put this here, maybe something narrow. I might have to get a punch. So I'm thinking perhaps happy birthday, because I also have these, look, these handy dandy strips from yesterday. This is where we cut the basic white paper. This is less than half an inch. This one looks like it's more than an inch. No, it's only half an inch. Okay, we'll use this one, and I think black ink. That's what we used on the butterfly when I did these yesterday. Oh, right, I haven't attached the butterfly yet. That's okay. We'll get this going and see if I can get it straight, because I think this happy birthday is not I have to remember crooked in which direction. We'll stamp this and take a look. Oh, maybe a little bit crooked pointing up. Okay, I'm going to try that one more time, maybe two more times. Get it a little straighter this time. Oh, it's very dark ink, but it's straighter, so that's a good thing. Okay, now I have a different angle on. Oh, that doesn't look straight now. I think it will be okay. Where'd my paper snips go? So we're going to cut this like this, a little bit closer, and like this. There we go. And then I'm going to pop this guy up with dimensionals. And right there in the middle for good luck. It's a lot of dimensionals. I probably didn't use that. Now. About there. And put this guy just ever so slightly, but we'll put him on dimensionals as well. So, now like when it goes over the edge. Yep. And then How about some limestone here? The big boys. Actually, these are the biggest ones, but over. Oh, and we want but a little bit of shine here. Because you can't have too much bling, right? There is no such thing. Okay, I'm not getting these down. Oh. There we go. So kind of a fun background, don't you think? And as I say, everyone is different. So you will, as you make them, you will see things and get ideas. There's kind of a butterfly shape right there. This is pretty much dry. What's this one? This one's still damp. This one had a little more water. I am going to give this a shot because it's not hard yet. So what? Oh, my cats. They're into things. I don't know whether it's because it's the spring or what. You love the butterfly. Oh, thanks, Lorna. Yeah, these were from the cards from yesterday. I didn't end up using them all. So I had them left over sitting on my desk. So it's always nice to use up leftover bits because then they don't. If you can use them quickly, they don't sit around. Sometimes I have scraps that I think I will use, and I think I will use. Excuse me. Felix seems to think I need some help. You should go down because if you step in the ink, you won't be a beige kitten anymore. You'll be a black kitten. So I'm just going to put this right on the edge here. And then we can worry about a sentiment after. And this one hasn't been trimmed yet, but it can be. I mean, I guess in theory, you could leave that, but it would depend whether you had it nice and even or not. And now I've got stuff hanging off of it. But there's what it's like when you just stamp. I tend to use a dark color when I'm doing this. This is Memento Black. You can do it with a, basic gray or early espresso, night of navy, something very dark, just to get the contrast going there. This is still soft. Give me a moment here to clean this stamp so the black doesn't stain it too much. There we go. Okay, and I have lost my mint macaron card base. There we go. So let's trim this guy. So Lorna, you've had more than just a minute or two that you've been able to stay tonight. This is this is an unexpected, lovely little surprise. Lorna was saying last night she had family coming, so she was not sure whether she'd be able to join in tonight. If she was, she would be able to stay for very long. So glad to have you along for the adventure. There we go. I find the look of these really changes when you take the white off, and I almost, I don't know, almost like the white border. see, what do we think? Fold this. I was thinking this guy could have a black border as well, but if it's going on a white card base, then it will have white. Oh no, it's going on a green card base. Ah, yes, good memory, but short. Do it with white, but maybe I will just stick with the black. Let's just go with the black. I need to cut another piece of black. And I'll just double check the sizing on this again to make sure it is a little bit less than 3 1/4 wide. So, but that's okay. It will probably keep open. So bring my trimmer back in. And the stock is bent. And let's see. I think it will be okay. It cuts off all of the bent part. So that was 4 3/8 by 3 8. There we go. Yeah, the black just makes everything. Oh, yes. Okay, so the block is obviously a little bit less than 3 1/4 wide, and that's why my cardstock has seemed just a little bit wide each time. But that's okay. We're going to glue it down, and then we will trim a little bit off again, just like we did the last time. So I want to make these 3 borders even, and I'll trim that fourth so I can match. You, of course, could use a larger block if you wanted to cover, your full card front or closer to a full card size. I just happen to have this. I had said it's block E, but there is a bigger block, the one that holds the full background stamps. So you could use a bigger one as well, or you can use smaller ones if you just want to do this for a sort of accent piece or just a small image on your card. I've done it with the block that we use most often. So this size block, and then you could just put something smaller on there, and that's really nice too. And then you just mat it, and it becomes, sort of the central part of your card with something else, with a bigger sentiment or something. I think that's pretty nice. Do we want for a happy birthday again? Maybe maybe I should do this one for sympathy. Not that we like that, but it's always nice to have some sympathy cards around. Blank ink. New. And I don't think this. No. I don't even know. Actually, you know what? I wonder if this needs a mint macaron. Yeah, I don't think that should be white, should it? But look. Ta-da! Just happen to have some on my desk here. So I think I probably need about 3/4 for this because it's a little wider than the last one. Thing. This will look better than white cardstock. on there. Look, I got it straight. Okay, now this would be nice, maybe with a banner. I do these angled ends because they are so easy. But going to pull out my tailored tag punch. If you have this in your stash, it is my favorite for doing banner ends. You can cut banner ends with scissors. You can use all sorts of different punches to create them. This is my personal thing. I don't know. I just seem to have the best luck with it. Getting my ends to look tidy and even. And it flicks bits of cardstock around your desk beautifully. Okay, so I need to fix this card base a little. Actually, I need to trim this card base a little. It looks like it's a little bit uneven. All right. Now I was also thinking I could pop this whole thing up. Tina would approve, wouldn't she? And then I could do that flat, or that could also be popped up. Let's just, we'll go into big dimensional mode here and use dimensionals on both layers. Because we basically have just one layer of skin. So just give it a little. Well, and here. Now I want to kind of cover it. It's got a little bit more white down there than I want. But if we put this here, I think it'll sort of camouflage that. It won't be a great big blob of white anymore. There we go. And then what do we want for gems on this one? These are very small. What have we got? What have you got? Pinky purple. These are milky dots. Those are, oh, that would work. I kind of like those. There we go. I think they work. There, look. So these are, and I haven't done this one. This one is dry now, but not quite sure what I'll do there since that's sort of all I had ready to go, or half ready to go. Okay, I fess up. I didn't really have it ready to go. But you got a bonus project. So there we go. We have some cards and an Easter basket. Let me come back here. Where am I? Here. There we go. So there you have a little bit of a technique. I hope you like it. I think it's fun. It's one of those ones that, you start playing with color and you play with the spritzer and you do one with a little more water or a little less water. Or the colors smush together differently. You end up with something different every time, and that's half the fun. And then, so you can just make a bunch and let them dry and then come back and look at them and see what you want to do them. They make awesome backgrounds, as we've used here, or you can use them, as I say, to cut out die cuts and things. So lots of things you can do with them. And then a little bunny basket for your Easter table. So thank you so much for joining me this evening. I really love having you along on this crafting adventure. I wish everyone a very blessed Easter, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend and can share it with family and friends. Take care, everyone. I look forward to crafting with you again really soon. Bye for now.